Let's welcome in Chris Broussard. He's joining us on care of Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. And, of course, you can hear Chris on The Odd Couple. He and Rob Parker every afternoon, West Coast time, 4 o'clock, East Coast time, 7 o'clock on Fox Sports Radio and your iHeartRadio app. Chris, in addition to hosting a national radio show and appearing on all of our shows for a long time, you've covered the NBA. Just give me your sense. The call on Friday, how big was or how loud was Kyrie's voice and his pushback towards the Orlando bubble in comparison to the rest of the call?
Doug, I talked to somebody who was on the call. And from what I'm told, Kyrie's voice was certainly the strongest. But the notion that Kyrie made this call to convince everybody not to play, from what I'm told, is not true. What I'm told is that after they took the vote a week or so ago, of which Kyrie voted to play in Orlando, right? He began having conversations with other players who were telling him they were upset that their voice wasn't heard. And it was a lot of players. So he set up this call so that guys could have their voices heard. And he invited pretty much the whole league, including LeBron. And so on the call, Kyrie shared his view that they shouldn't go play in Orlando. But what I'm told is he also said multiple times, this is how I feel. But whatever you guys want to do, I'm with it. This is just my feeling. I'm also told he was not the only player who had the sentiment that they shouldn't play. We know it's been reported Dwight Howard, Avery Bradley kind of echoed Kyrie's points, but I'm told there were a few other players as well. But Doug, from talking to agents, other players, people in front offices around the league, from what I'm being told, it's all systems go on the NBA plan. If certain guys don't want to play, then fine, they will replace them because obviously they're expanding rosters to 17. There are players that would love to be signed and haven't yet had a chance in the NBA or were out of the NBA for this season, like J.R. Smith, Jamal Crawford, guys like that. And so they are planning to go ahead and play. The only real obstruction to this that I see is if superstars get on board with Kyrie Irving's thinking and then decide not to play. That's when you've got a problem. Or if the numbers are in the hundreds of guys that don't want to play and agree with Kyrie. Also, it was a smaller point. The main thing was the racial discussion, but the COVID-19 concerns and also concerns about being in the bubble over a long period of time. Some guys, have wives that are pregnant. And they were concerned about, being away from her, being in this bubble. So there were other concerns, but it was mainly the social justice stuff.
He also said that there's a tiered system and only 20 of us are at the top tier. He said he's included in that. He said something's fishy. I want to get your perspective. As a black man, do you think it's a bad look or it's a distraction from the cause to get back to work to playing NBA basketball in Orlando at the end of July?
I don't think anything's fishy. I don't think there's some conspiracy to, sequester the black players in Orlando and do something. So I don't think anything's fishy. I do agree with Kyrie's overall sentiment. And I like, not that they shouldn't play, but I like the way he's thinking, because I have said for the longest that black athletes have a power that they don't understand. I actually think black athletes have more power than any other group of African Americans to make change in this country because of their popularity, their wealth, their connections to corporate America through endorsements and marketing, and their unique skill set. No one can really do what they do. So that makes them irreplaceable, and that gives them a leverage that your average African American, including politicians, don't have. So I'm glad he's thinking in terms of let's use our power and our leverage to make systemic change. What I don't like at this point is that I don't see a plan. Now, I'm told that they do want to talk about some type of plan or demands, but nothing's come out yet. And so just sitting out to sit out, Doug, does not accomplish anything. But I believe that the players should make demands and attach demands or asks, if you will, to their willingness to play. Adam Silver is a players commissioner.
Sure.
The league has said they want to, stand against systemic racism. What have they done though? They are better than the other leagues in terms of their internal hiring, but the NFL just committed $250 million over 10 years. I haven't seen anything like that from the NBA. I would like the players to go to the league, Adam Silver and such, and say, look, we would like for the owners in the league to make we want to ask them really to address systemic racism by starting, say, management trainee programs within their other corporations and companies for African Americans, with the goal being that within a certain period of time, 10% of their management and executive class is African American, because 10% of the college graduates in America are black, but we're not getting those positions at the same rate. So they can demand that the NBA or the owners make contributions, hefty contributions to historically black colleges and universities, build up their athletic programs. So at least basketball wise, they can compete, and a black college or high school star isn't making this huge sacrifice of losing out on training and equipment and technology if he goes to an HBCU over one of the big predominantly white schools. So I think those are things the players can ask for as a concession for them to play.
Do you believe that any of the stars are willing to not play basketball? Because that's one of the things that Kyrie said is, he's the idea of maybe I won't play anymore. Do you think there is anyone who feels so strongly that they would walk away from an NBA career for this cause?
Well, let me address Kyrie, because I know some of your sentiment is the messenger is kind of different. And there's truth to that. I think Kyrie, if he were talking about COVID or the bubble being reasons they shouldn't play, I wouldn't feel he's qualified for that because he's not playing. But the racial and social injustice stuff, of course, he's well qualified to speak about that. Now, there are some around the league, Doug, maybe you've heard it as well, that feel like Kyrie just doesn't really want to play. Like, he's questioning going forward. I've heard that for a while. I think he will play, but there are those who just wonder how much he really wants to play in the future. So that can put his statement about I'm willing to give it all up, to heal this land as far as social injustice. So that's legitimate. As far as stars, I think at this very moment, the overwhelming majority, if not all of them, are planning on playing. Everything I've heard about the Lakers, LeBron, AD, Kawhi and Paul George with the Clippers, James Harden and Russell Westbrook in Houston, Giannis Antetokounmpo, like everything I've heard is that they all want to play. I did talk with a player last night who said that he is told that some stars on an Eastern Conference playoff team don't want to play, but he said they will play. He said they really don't want to come back, but they are planning to do so. So I think right now it's full system go on playing again. And I don't know if these recent developments with the recent shooting in Atlanta and Kyrie's call, does this make players think twice or change their minds? Or now COVID is surging in Florida and other places. Maybe things like that can change their mind. But at this very moment, from everything I'm told, it's all systems go.
And doesn't it, to me, it speaks to it's still his league, right? And Patrick Beverley's tweet was, LeBron says he's playing, we're playing. And as LeBron goes, the league goes. Fair?
To some degree. I think more so it is the players understand how much money they stand to lose. And they understand that they lose a lot of leverage in the new collective bargaining agreement and negotiations that will take place in the future. Their feeling is that if we don't play, the owners may lock us out, force a new negotiations, and we will not have much leverage in our new agreement, and we'll lose. We'll take a step back. So, and I think that's legitimate. I think that is the driving force. Now, because I think if LeBron were to join Kyrie, and maybe I'm wrong, he certainly is a powerful voice, and I do think a lot of players would think twice about joining that. But I also think some players would look at, well, LeBron, I mean, you don't have to make another dime for the rest of your life, and you're set, and your kids and their kids are set. So I think there's always that. A lot of these guys are only going to be in the league 3 or 4 years. A lot of these guys are going to make about $1 million a year or less. So they're looking at it like, man, I need this money and I need it now. A lot of guys in the league, Doug, live check to check. And so I think it's more the money that is driving guys than LeBron not being on board with not playing.
Last thing, Chris, I got about 30 seconds, 45 seconds for you. My concern with the bubble is quality of play. Like, we've seen teams, Lakers, their longest road trip, they played the Bucks last game. They just had no gas in the tank. I just feel like you get to 3 months in the bubble NBA finals and guys are going to be tired of each other, right? Like any road trip you take with your buddy, you're tired of each other. And the quality of play won't be championship quality of play. How much concern is there over that?
I think that's a legitimate concern. We've talked about the injuries, but look, Doug, they're going to be playing every other day. And you better believe that some of these teams they're going to load manage in that 8 games. I would not expect to see Kawhi all 8 games, so they're going to be playing every other day. That's going to take a toll on their bodies. And so you're absolutely right. Like, the quality of play may be low for these playoffs, which is obviously not great.
Chris Broussard, check him out on The Odd Couple. That's tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific on Fox Sports Radio, along with our crazy uncle, Rob Parker. And, of course, you see him on Undisputed and all of our other TV shows. Chris, hope you're well. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.